just means that anybody at any time for something that they may or may not even been born for can be judged upon. I think it's a little ridiculous, to be honest with you, but at the same time, using those types of words and languages, today is absolutely, uncalled for.
Well, absolutely. That word should never be uttered, and we will never utter it on this show. But it's just unfortunate. And I should point out, for those that have their tinfoil hats on and conspiracies going on and whatever, Eli Lilly is based in Indianapolis. So there might be a connection there because of all of that. This whole story did originate here in Indianapolis. Hopefully Connor can get a ride. Hopefully people will realize that this was something that happened 30 years ago and was never – he was actually speaking about himself, Steve, when he made that comment. He wasn't speaking about a particular race of people. He was speaking about himself, that he felt like he was the microphone in the woodpile. So, unfortunately, it spiraled, and hopefully Connor Daly can find a ride. Let's look at what's going forward here next weekend. Obviously, I'll be out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway covering the Brickyard for Speedway Digest. Looking forward to that. But certainly always a big on NASCAR's calendar every single year. What we've seen is a decline in attendance, if you will, at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Certainly we won't see the crowds that we see with the Indianapolis 500. Not that we would expect that, but certainly hopefully we begin to see an increase in crowds at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard. But what are your thoughts as we go into the Brickyard next weekend?
Well, I would hope that, with them changing this to a little bit later on into the year, that the crowds will start to resurface out there. We're not going to see the crowds we saw when they first went to Indy 25 years ago almost. We're not going to see Indy 500 crowds either. You're right. Fan counts are down across every single sport, not just NASCAR. This isn't a NASCAR problem. This is an every sport problem today. And it's recapturing some of those fans that either have left or been priced out of the market or shifted in the market, or, the various different things, the dynamics that have happened over the last, 10 to 18 years or so. I think these fans hopefully will come out to Indianapolis. It's a race that now has a lot of meaning. It's not just the Brickyard. It was considered one of the premier events throughout the NASCAR's calendar, but now it has even more meaning that a lot of these drivers are either in, they're out, and when they go to Vegas the next week, it really sets the stage for the rest of the year now.
Steve, as we look forward to Homestead here, as we wrap things up with you, I know you're there at the track, but as we look forward to Homestead, right now it would seem that it'd be Kevin Harvick's championship to lose at this point.
I don't think you can really count out any of them right now. Martin Truex Jr., there's some racetracks coming up. You've got Kansas that's going to be coming up. Truex is one at Homestead at the end of the year, so if he's sitting there in that top four coming into Homestead, you can't count him out. Kyle Busch, there's some racetracks coming up for him. Indianapolis is going to be one next week that he could maybe capitalize on. Kevin Harvick, all three of them right now, it's really their races to lose when we get to the playoffs. And every week for them is just going to be one more point or one more position away from either being in or being out when we get to Homestead in late November. So for them, they've got their own races to run. All three of them right now, I think, have different tracks that they can run at and win at. But I wouldn't count any of them out right now. I think there's a couple other out there, dark horses right now, that may be able to squeeze into that fourth spot. But, that field is crowded right now that I think there's a lot of things that they're really going to have to do between now and Homestead if they want to squeeze into that fourth spot.
Steve Wilson, editor-in-chief of Speedway Digest. Check them out at Speedway Digest. Steve's down at Darlington covering that race today. So stay cool, stay hydrated, sir. In spirit of our show today, college football opening weekend, everybody's looking at Florida State, their first game without Jimbo Fisher. I know that's your team. What are your thoughts?
I don't know what Willie Taggart is going to do. I'm hoping that he's going to put some points up on the board for us because we need some stuff. distract away from Jimbo Fisher, to be honest with you. He coming from Oregon out there, he seems to be really working this team just as hard as Jimbo or Bobby Bowden did over the years. I'm hoping for a really good year. It's going to be a transitional year for them. I don't expect them to go and compete for the national championship by any means, but I expect them to be transforming themselves in the next 2 to 3 years to be on that competition level again.
Well, absolutely. I always say you got to give a new coach a couple, 3 years to see what happens, and we'll see how that goes on. Steve, we appreciate you joining us. Stay hydrated and have a good race today.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Steve Wilson, editor-in-chief of Speedway Digest, calling us from Darlington. Obviously, throwback weekend, throwing in our racing segment here. It is college football opening weekend. Rick-Riggin, executive producer, joined us as well to talk on the first hour. And then coming up here, we're going to be getting into some NFL talk. And we're going to be talking with Ed Kratz, our official NFL contributor, beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to be talking preseason NFL and also get you ready for your fantasy football drafts this weekend. My name is Tom-Marquis, Presidente. We'll be right back right after this.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be hard.
The Air National Guard is a reserve component of the United States Air Force and serves alongside active duty Air Force members in times of a national crisis. In addition, the Air Guard serves the state and local community in a wide range of capacities. The reason people join the Air Guard is as diverse as our members and includes such reasons as a deep desire to serve their country, money for college, travel, new job skills, and the pride that goes along with belonging to the greatest military organization in the world. I joined because I felt a calling to serve my country, but I didn't want to be far away from my family, so the Indiana Air National Guard was a perfect fit for me. With over 95 different career opportunities to choose from and 100% paid college tuition to any state-funded college, why not give us a call? Call 1-800-841-3103 or visit online at goang.com to find out more. Again, that's 1-800-841-3103. The Air National Guard, guarding America, defending freedom.
It's double trouble, double the fun at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. See the largest antelope on Earth, the giant eland, and the ugliest creature on Earth, the African warthog. There's so much to see and do, including the Midwest's only drive-through safari. Feed the animals, see live educational shows, feel the excitement, have your picture taken with a python or cockatoo, feel the adventure. Shop the Symbol Lodge gift shop with items available from around the globe. Visit the snack bar or picnic facilities. Enjoy a pony or camel ride. Or cheer your favorite porker on to victory in the famous Pork Chop Down. Bring your family to see the rare and exotic animals at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. Just take Route 2 to the Route 53 North exit and follow the sign. Only 17 miles west of Cedar Point via Route 6. Open every day, rain or shine.
All right, and welcome back to The Balance. My name is Tom-Marquis, El Presidente. We had a little bit of a mic switcheroo earlier on in the show, so we are dealing with kind of a delay. So my apologies. I appreciate your patience. Thank you so much for joining us. It is college football opening week. We've been talking on the entire first hour, breaking down all the college action with Rick-Riggin, executive producer of the Balance and host of Breaking Rank. But now it's time to get into our NFL talk. We'll also maybe throw in some little college football talk as well. Ed Kratz, the beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles and the official NFL contributor, joins us as we wrap up some would say meaningless preseason week 4, but means a lot if you're trying to earn a job. Ed, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing a lot better than a lot of these NFL guys who are on the bubble are doing. They're sitting on pins and needles right now, for sure.
Well, absolutely, and as we've said on this show multiple times, they may not get a job with the Philadelphia Eagles or the Indianapolis Colts or the New York Giants or the Dallas Cowboys or any of the other teams, but this is a job interview to be on tape, and let's also face it, the fact that a lot of these players will be moved over to practice squads, and granted that may not be NFL dream salary, but, you know, practice squad players still make $120,000, $150,000 a year. Not bad for some young kids out of college.
Yeah, and it gives them hope that they can still become part of the NFL, land on somebody's 53-man roster. So, yeah, it's more than just about money for those guys. It's about keeping that dream alive.
Well, the last night's games or this week 4's games are dream makers or dream breakers, that's for sure. So talk to us a little bit about some of the takeaways that you saw in the NFL, across the NFL, and we'll start with the Eagles, and we can work our way around the league if you want. What are some of the takeaways that we saw in the preseason this year as we get ready to go into full-blown NFL season? Can we get an amen?
Amen. Well, to start with the Eagles, I guess, I mean, you know, the big question still is Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, who's going to start Thursday night when the Atlanta Falcons come to Philadelphia to kick off the NFL season. I'm hoping that we should know something this weekend. The Eagles begin practice for that game on Sunday. So, you know, that's really the big question. I think as far as the preseason goes with the Eagles, I don't think it was overly impressive. You know, they didn't do much. They scored with 18 seconds left in their preseason finale against the Jets on Thursday to prevent a winless preseason. They finished 1-3. There's just not a lot of jobs to be won on this roster, though. And the Eagles played most of the preseason without a lot of their key guys like Jason Peters and Darren Sproles and Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Graham. I mean, the list just goes on. They didn't have Wentz available. So, you know, to me, you know, the preseason really didn't reveal much for the Eagles. I think that it might take them a little while to kind of rev up that engine to try to make another push to get back to the Super Bowl, just because they didn't have a lot of guys to practice this summer. You know, a lot of their key guys. So it might take them a little while to kind of scrape off some of that rust, and you know, they might not hit their stride until after a month or so of the season. That's not untypical for you know, a Super Bowl team. I know when the Seattle Seahawks went back-to-back years, they won the first Super Bowl they won. They came back the following year and they were 3-3 before winning 9 of their last 10 to get back to the Super Bowl, where they lost to the Patriots. So that's my impression of the Eagles. I know the Colts are big for you, Tom, since they're in your backyard.
Oh yeah,
I think with Andrew. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think you have to be encouraged with Andrew Luck, right? I mean, he played in the preseason. He got through it healthy, and the Colts are ready to hit the ground running with him. And you know, they're in a tough division, so, you know, we'll see how things unfold for them. But certainly to have Andrew Luck heading in the season, that is encouraging news for the Colts. And then you look around the league, some things that are happening today. You know, the big trade of Khalil Mack to the Chicago Bears, apparently. You know, the Oakland Raiders are shipping him out. John Gruden, for some reason, has decided to cut bait with the best player in the NFL, the best defensive player in the NFL, and trading him to the Bears, I think, for 2 number 1 picks. And then you look at the Buffalo Bills. They released receiver Corey Coleman today after they had acquired him in a trade from the Browns. A former number 1 pick is back out on the street for someone to grab. You know, I mean, this will be his 3rd team if someone claims him. But you know, that's interesting news. So, you know, you look around the league, and today's a very busy day. Teams are going to get to their 53 players. There's going to be a lot of unemployed guys out there, and there's going to be a lot of hopeful guys if they land on practice squads. It's going to make for a busy day. I know in Philadelphia, the general manager, Howie Roseman, is going to meet with reporters around 4:35 to talk about the moves that the Eagles made.
So what's the process? Maybe take us behind the scenes for those that don't know. Obviously, we know this is an elimination team. They got to get down to the roster. A lot of people are going to get cut, especially those people that are on the bubble. What's the process as far as, do they turn on their iPads only to find them to not work? Is that how they find out? Does their agents let them know? Do they get called in one by one by the coaches and say, we're going to go in a different direction. We appreciate your time, blah, 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 blah. What's the process of letting